Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the royals and about Shiloh Jolie. We end with our weekly feature, the comments of the week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 175. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So we were off for a couple weeks because it was Memorial Day, and then I talked you into taking the week after that off because I felt lazy. And I didn't know what to talk about. But
it wasn't like,
off.
pull my arm. Like, it was fine. Sometimes I'm not really vibing on the podcast either. I could go either way.
Yeah, that's true of a lot of things in my life. And I like taking time off in the summer too, so.
Yeah, and in this podcast, on my end, you might hear like rain sounds. Like we're supposed to get thunderstorms, and we just got like a minor one right before we came on. So.
Oh, okay. It's supposed to rain here too. It's getting that windiness that comes before it rains. I wanted to say, like, for a while now, I've moved into this house like 2 years ago almost, and there's a fuzziness to my recording. It's because of the busy road. I've tried higher end mics. I got a new computer, and it's just because there's a road by me. It's like road noise.
I honestly don't hear it when I'm listening to the podcast.
Okay,
I sometimes hear like the rooster on my end in the background, but it's very faint.
I hear the rooster for you. I hear it because I'm editing it, and I'm like, God, I wish mine wasn't so fuzzy. But unless I board up my windows or something, I don't know what I could do about it.
Yeah,
So.
I don't think most people would even hear it or notice it.
No, I'm just picky about the audio quality. So I saw The Fall Guy in the theater over Memorial Day. It was so great. It was so funny and cute. You know, it had Ryan Gosling and what's her face?
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Yeah, I loved it. It was adorable. It was way better than I expected and really entertaining. So.
It looked cute, but it also looked like something where I was like, I'm not going to go see that in the theater. But you love going to see anything in theaters.
I do. That was backhanded, but I like action movies, and it was kind of an ode to stupid action movies while being tongue-in-cheek. Like, it didn't take itself too serious, and I thought it was excellent. It struck just the right balance, and there were a lot of laugh-out-loud moments, so the writing was good. So, but yeah, I love going to the theater. Like, I saw The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. I like that shit. I liked it.
Well, you like him
dumb.
Anyway.
I fucking love him. I love him. But this was different. It's on a different level from that, so I recommend it. I'm watching the second season of Interview with the Vampire on AMC. Like, not a lot of people are watching that, I think, because AMC is harder to stream. But I really recommend that as well.
Yeah, I've heard great things about that show.
Yeah.
I'm out of my vampire phase. Like, I used to read Anne Rice, when I was a kid.
Yeah, I read her stuff, too. I read all her stuff, too, when I was, like, in my teens, yeah.
Yeah, in my teens, I loved Anne Rice. But, like, nowadays, I'm like, I'm a little bit too old for that shit. But, like, I hear that the show is great and, like, very faithful to, like, Anne Rice's books and writing. So that's cool.
So my mom read it when she was older, and I've been getting her to watch it, and she said it was true to the books so far from what she's seen. She's only seen the first couple episodes. I don't remember the books because I was so long ago when I read them.
I remember the movie with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, and I hated it. Like, it was so unfaithful to the book.
It was dumb. But a lot of movies back then were,
And like, what idiot cast Tom Cruise as Lestat, though?
I don't know. Everyone thinks he's a leading man. I think he's a character actor who hustled his way into being a leading man, but whatever.
Who, Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think he's a leading man. I just think he was totally wrong for that.
He was wrong
role.
for that. I mean, he was good in the new Top Gun. I like that a lot, but...
Yeah, he was. Well, I saw Challengers finally. Like, I was really geared up for it, but then I was like, I'm not going to go see it in the theater. So I waited until I could, like, rent it. I really liked it. I was really proud of Zendaya for how she put the film together. Like, She produced it, and she had a lot of, like, a big say in the casting, as she really wanted Josh O'Connor and Mike Faced in it. And they were great.
Nice.
Like, all the actors did a great job. I had, like, some issues with the script, but, like, I have to really give it to Josh O'Connor. I know him primarily from The Crown, where he plays, you know, very, very posh royal, then Prince Charles. I've read a lot of his interviews, and he comes across as very arty and, like, very English and, like, sweet and soft. He played an absolute bastard. He did a flawless American accent. And he played a real, like, son of a bitch. Like, just sleazy as all hell. And he pulled it off. I was so impressed with him.
Nice. I will watch that. That's streaming now for free, right? Or do you have to pay
I don't know,
it?
for free. I rented it on Vudu.
Oh, okay.
You can.
All right.
Oh, I think I bought it. Did I buy it or did I rent it?
I'll log into your account and see.
I think I rented it, actually. I didn't. I don't think I bought it. But yeah, it was a nice watch. I want you to watch it so we can argue about, like, whether or not her character was an idiot. Because I was, like, really mad at her character at several times.
All right, I'll watch it, sure. All right, speaking of idiots, let's talk about the royals.
Yeah, big time.
So we've talked a lot on the podcast over the years about this narrative that the British press has whenever there's an event coming up. Sometimes they'll invent an event just so they can talk about the Sussexes. Like, they'll say the Sussexes should come to that. No, but they're not invited, but they should come and bring the kids. You know, it's just about having something to talk about.
One of the best versions of that was the Scottish coronation, which people only learned that it was happening like 2 days before it was. And then it was like, is Harry going to come for the Scottish coronation? Like, that was the Daily Mail headline. It was like, will Prince Harry be there? You know,
because they know we'll read that shit. They know Harry and Meghan are the only ones we care about.
Seriously.
So Hugh Grosvenor is getting married tomorrow, our time. So we record on Thursday, so that wedding is happening tomorrow, June 7th. And he's the 7th Duke of Westminster. He's marrying Olivia Henson. And that is the British Society wedding of the summer. Now, they sent the invitations out in December. And the initial stories in the British press were that Harry wasn't invited and that Harry and Meghan were getting snubbed because of Harry's spare, basically, because they left the royal family. But that wasn't true.
Yeah. The story about Harry being snubbed, the first stories came from Roya Nikkhah at the Times of London. Like, that's Prince William's favorite reporter. That's who he leaks to consistently, and he has been doing for years. She's even gotten exclusive interviews with William. And for her to have that exclusive of Hugh is snubbing Harry, that came directly from Kensington Palace. That came directly from William.
I bet. And then we heard that, of course, Harry was invited because he's close with you, but he declined.
I have a theory about that, too, because we heard that Harry was invited like a few days after Roya's reporting. And I think that William was being so tacky about it, about someone else's wedding, that Hugh and Harry kind of were in an agreement of, like, we have to push back on this because William is out of control. Like, this is ridiculous. From everything I've read about Hugh Grosvenor, like, he is a very private guy. He does not want his business out there whatsoever. Like, this wedding is, like, almost painful for him that he has to, like, actually get attention for it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that about
like,
him.
for William to make this big of a fucking deal and to, like, make it into, like, oh, a royal beef is happening at this wedding. It must be hellish for Hugh.
And his wife, it's super tacky. And then we heard that William's going to be an usher, and Harry's jealous of William being an usher.
Once again, straight from Kensington Palace.
And then the latest news is from People magazine, and this sounds like it comes from the Sussexes, and they report that Harry and Hugh talked on the phone about whether Harry would come to Hugh's wedding. They came to an agreement that it'd be best if Harry didn't come, or they just talked it out, you know, however they did.
Yeah, and we sort of heard that even last December. We heard that, like, that Hugh and Harry, they're not beefing. They don't have any problem with each other. Harry's just not going to fly in just for his wedding, and it would be awkward because William is such a dumbass.
Yeah, he really is.
But the whole thing with William, like, just rushing around telling everyone that he's going to be an usher at the wedding and it's a starring role and Harry is going to be so jealous.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's tacky, but like, you're not the star. You're an usher, man.
Right? Right? Leave these poor people alone. They want to just get married, you know?
Exactly. And it's going to be a big, beautiful wedding.
Oh, I hope we get lots of pictures.
I hope we do too. I read something about how Hugh had like thousands of flowers planted in like the city square, basically just for the wedding.
That sounds lovely. I love a good royal wedding. I don't care if I just learned about the people that day. I will like, oh, we have a mailing list sign up with the top 10 royal weddings, and some of them are people you haven't heard. So I'll put that in the post for this podcast. So if you're not signed up for a mailing list, please do that. So we're hearing so much about Harry and whether Harry is going to come, but there's hardly any discussion around the fact that Kate has been missing since Christmas and that she's not going to this wedding.
Yeah, that's the other aspect of all of this focus on Harry with the Grosvenor wedding. It's a deflection from Kate's not going to be there, and also King Charles isn't going to be there. King Charles is Hugh's godfather.
Oh.
And he's not coming.
I bet it's hard for him to get around because he's probably exhausted from his treatments.
It feels like there's something else going on besides Charles's health. Like, I think that there's beef between the Grosvenor family and the royals.
There's beef between Charles and William as well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen Kate since Christmas, unless you're counting the video announcement in late March that she had cancer. I'll put this lightly. The video did not seem 100% authentic. It was very produced. We've talked about that. So last night I went on Spoutable. They have like those audio meetings like they do on Twitter. And there was a Sussex Squad meeting on Spoutable with their founder, Christopher Boozy. And he said he thinks that we're going to hear this week about Kate's condition. I don't know if I agree with him, but he's been really prescient about other things that have happened with that. And he's one of the very few people who's willing to call out the fake videos and photos from the royal family.
Yeah. I don't think that they'll make like some big announcement this week. Once again, I could be wrong. I think they've sufficiently kicked the can down the road where there's going to be some conversation if and when she misses Trooping the Color, which is June 15th. If something is announced, if something happens, it'll be after Trooping.
We heard that she's not going to Trooping, or she's not likely to be at Trooping.
She's not likely to be at Trooping, and she's skipping a rehearsal, which is a rehearsal that's happening this Saturday.
Oh, okay. And then the Emperor and Empress of Japan are coming for a state visit to the UK at the end of June, from June 25th to June 27th, and Kate isn't expected to be there either.
Yeah, all the palace announcements about the state visit just involve William. Like, William is going to greet so-and-so. You know, like, Kate is not included in any of the plans.
So there's still very little information about how she is, although William was asked during a D-Day visit with some veterans how she was doing. The veteran said, I was going to ask you if your wife is getting better. And William said, yes, she's getting better. She'd love to be here today, which is pretty succinct. And it's kind of in line with what he said so far about her.
Yeah, at least he didn't say, we're doing fine.
Yeah, he has said that before.
I know, right? And like, so in the midst of all of these canceled whatever, you can't really say that Kate is canceling on anything because she was never really scheduled to appear.
Yeah.
So like, as Kate is just missing for longer and longer, the palace keeps insisting, and royal insiders keep insisting that she actually is out and about.
So People in Us magazine claimed last week that Kate was seen out running errands, including making a trip to a chocolate shop with William. There were no photos or videos or eyewitness sightings, of course, other than unnamed sources. And it was kind of audacious that they would try the same playbook that they did before.
Yeah. It's like everything old is new again. We're right back into the early March cycle of being told repeatedly that Kate is going out, we swear. Are they going to try to fake a video again? Like, what's the end game here? And it doesn't sound reasonable that we're being told that she cannot do one single photo op in bed, on the phone. And yet she's capable of running errands and popping into grocery shops in Norfolk and picking up chocolate, whatever.
And if she's doing all that, why isn't she working?
Exactly. And even if it's not working, even if it's just, as I said, like a simple photo op at Adelaide Cottage or at Anmar Hall, and like just have a photo with her and the kids, like a real photo of her like outdoors, saying like, I'm doing really well, or...
Yeah. And we've seen like little videos of her out walking and things like that before her illness. And so it just does make this situation seem like it's dire.
Yeah, and the messaging is so utterly bizarre. I've thought for some time that Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace are not on the same page.
Yeah.
And that Buckingham Palace took over the messaging on everything Kate in March. Like when Kensington Palace made an absolute fucking hash of it. Like it was just an utter clown show of like fuck up after fuck up. Buckingham Palace is like, all right, we're going to come in and rescue you. We're going to control all of the messaging. And that's when like the cancer video came out and like everything was shut down around Kate. And then like it feels like we're going back to that before times though of like clown show and yeah
and clean up.
I always want to say that like there's so much of the messaging is being done to protect William and not Kate. And so much of the messaging is to minimize whatever Kate is going through because William doesn't want too much sympathy for Kate.
Yeah, he's always been very wary of her overshadowing him, even when she's absent right now.
Yeah.
And ill. So Kate is on the cover of Us magazine, and there are Insider Royals quotes. And a lot of people are kind of wondering what's going on because of this quote. They say that Kate, quote, may never come back in the role that people saw her in before. And that they're basically trying to evaluate, quote, what she's going to be able to take on when she comes back.
And this Us Weekly story comes after some back and forth, like Richard Eden at the Daily Mail, this happened like 2 weeks ago. Richard Eden at the Daily Mail said, royal sources are telling me that like it'll be the autumn before anyone sees Kate at an event or anything like that. And then just days later, the Daily Beast royalist columnist, Tom Sykes, he wrote that actually his sources are telling him that Kate won't be seen the entire year, that it'll be 2025 before anyone sees her. And so for Us Weekly to sort of piggyback on this, like, when are we actually going to see her? And maybe her role won't ever be the same again. Maybe she won't be a working royal like we've seen before. It feels like a different narrative keeps being launched and then taken back and then relaunched and taken back. I don't know.
That makes sense.
I said months ago, I don't have one conspiracy theory that answers all of the strangeness that we've seen here.
I have a minor theory. Would you like me to say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I think she legit got sick, but I also think that there's a split with William and that they're using her illness to keep her out of the spotlight because of that. I hope that she's okay and that, I mean, this is best case scenario is that she's okay and that there's a breakup and that's why she's not being seen either as some sort of leverage on her side or because they don't want her to be seen because William doesn't want her around.
See, like, I think that's a perfectly decent conspiracy theory. But what doesn't make sense to me about that is if that were true, why are the Middletons being so quiet? And why doesn't Kate understand that her power would actually be from like doing genuine family photo ops or just photo ops with the kids?
Yeah.
Like that would strengthen her position in a divorce, is to be seen like the doting mother.
And it seems like only George is with his dad.
Exactly.
The other two kids are with the Middletons, I would assume.
Or, you know, who knows? So my like low-key conspiracy theory, and this is not all-encompassing, this does not answer everything, is that Kate can't be seen because she's not conscious.
Yeah.
Or that she's not physically able to be seen. That's the only thing that makes sense.
I hope that lady's okay. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. I would love nothing more to be wrong about that. I would love nothing more than like for her to be on the balcony at Trooping the Color. Like, I've said that a few times in the post. I genuinely hope that happens, that she's on the balcony and that she waves at people.
Let's say she's conscious and that she's just, I don't know if I'm even going to include this, okay? Because it feels icky to speculate.
Yeah, it's real dark.
Let's say she's conscious enough to sit up. We know what ableist assholes the royals are. They wouldn't even let the queen, who was over 90, be seen in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Like, no, that's totally legitimate. That's totally legitimate aspect to this issue of, like, how sick is Kate and why don't they want her to be seen?
In my early 30s, I was wheelchair bound for about 6 months. It was life-changing. It really, but it also was something where I learned to deal with it, and I wanted to go out because I didn't want to be stuck at home because I couldn't walk. And if something similar to that is going on with her, I wouldn't be surprised if they're covering it up and acting like it's shameful when it's not. A lot of people go through illness, and it would humanize her to a great extent with the public if they were honest about that. We're not saying she needs to go out all the time, but just say, you know, she's having a hard time getting around, but they won't admit that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
they won't admit that. And instead of, like, even just showing a modicum of honesty, like saying, like, no, really, she's in really tough shape and, like, she doesn't want to be seen right now. Like, that would be so humble and, like, understandable. But they're not saying that. Instead, they're like, no, she's trotting around doing errands. She just can't do any work.
It just seems like a big lie.
Yeah, all of it. It feels like they've been lying since the very beginning about everything.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Angelina Jolie and her ex-husband, who's a piece of shit. So this week we heard that Shiloh Jolie, who just turned 18, filed to have Pitt officially removed as her last name. So she hired her own lawyer and she filed the paperwork herself. And we've heard also that Vivienne, who turns 16 next month, she only uses Jolie as her last name officially in a playbill for a play that she was working on. And Zahara is only using Jolie as her last name in college. But this is the first time we've heard that it's legally a change request from one of the children.
Yeah, this is the first time we've heard of it. It would not surprise me if Maddox and Pax have both changed their names legally and we just haven't heard about it. Yeah. It feels like someone specifically wanted people to know that, like, Shiloh did it on her 18th birthday. And I think Shiloh herself wanted people to know. Either that or she simply didn't give a shit. She didn't try to hide it. She was like, yeah, who cares? People should know.
And her father's a horrible human being, and the way he responded to this is super telling. I was floored by this. So a source told People magazine that, quote, he's aware and upset that Shiloh dropped his last name. He's never felt more joy than when she was born. He always wanted a daughter. Holy shit!
Yeah. Keep in mind, he and Angelina had adopted Zahara from Ethiopia the year before Shiloh was born.
It's so despicable. And at best, it's very oblivious. At worst, it's pointed to Zahara.
I think it's absolutely pointed at Zahara. And as I was, like, covering that, I kept thinking about how Zahara went with her mom to Washington, D.C. for the whole reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act.
Yeah.
And, like, they were invited to the White House, and, like, Angelina and Zahara were actually, like, meeting with congressmen and senators. They were trying to, like, convince everyone to make special provisions for child abuse and for, like, abusing children who have dark skin where you can't see their bruises. And, like, for Brad to fucking say that, you know, he always wanted a daughter for Shiloh. Oh, God. What an abusive psychopath.
Yeah, he is crazy. So he didn't just tell People magazine. He also went to Entertainment Tonight, Us magazine, and it's all about him and how it affects him. And as you've been writing, he hasn't said that he's trying to make it up to his children, that he's making gestures toward them, that he's apologized, that he's working on their relationship. It's more like he's upset. Yeah, it's difficult for him.
And, like, all this stuff about Shiloh changing her name on her 18th birthday, and, like, his reaction was like, oh, I was so sad. I remember when she was born. Like, did you do anything for her birthday, motherfucker? Like, did you send her flowers? Did you send her a card? Did you try to take her to lunch?
He would say that if he did it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I hope that the general public comes to an understanding of what a piece of shit he is. I hope he overplayed his hand. I don't think it's reached critical mass yet, but hopefully it will.
I know, like, it's coming up on 8 years since the plane incident. The anniversary, I think, will be in September. I agree that it hasn't actually reached, like, widespread public consciousness that, like, he's an absolute fucking piece of shit. But 4 of the kids are now over 18. The twins are old enough to decide whether or not they want to see him.
Yeah.
He has to be more cautious now about what he says publicly about the kids, because otherwise they're going to come out and start really talking and saying, like, no, this is what you did to my mother. This is what you did to me.
I would like it if he stopped being like this stupid aging heartthrob or whatever he is in the public consciousness, but we'll see.
There was this moment, I didn't end up covering it. It was from like the Golden Globes last year, maybe, where Salma Hayek, and Salma Hayek and Angelina are friends now.
Yeah,
they got along really well in the Eternals. Salma Hayek was presenting, and like her co-presenter like made a big deal about how Brad Pitt was there. And the look on Salma's face, like she looked at him like, eat shit and die.
Good.
Like she was just so over Brad Pitt. I hope that Hollywood really starts to like embrace that attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. All right, let's move on to the comments of the week.
My comment of the week is from, I wrote a couple of stories about Trump being found guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records. It was a great day. It was a great verdict.
It was.
I'm so happy for that New York jury. The only part I really paid close attention to was the jury selection. And like those jurors were lying their asses off. They wanted to get on that jury and they wanted to convict that son of a bitch. And they did it.
Good for them. Good for them.
They are American heroes.
Yeah.
They're like, I've never even heard of Trump. I don't even watch CNN or MSNBC. I only follow news on Truth Social. They were lying. Well, so anyway, I wrote a few pieces about it. And one of them was like, is this day better than the day we found out that he had COVID? Because that was a great day.
It was. We were on the podcast too. It was fun.
Anyway, so my comment of the week is from Miranda. She said, as a New Yorker, I'm pleased that we did what we could to hold this baby-handed fascist piece of shit accountable for something. I'm under no illusion that it will change the minds of his demented worshipers, but fuck it, we tried. It was a good day, but the federal charges are everything.
Yeah, good.
A win's a win. I think, maybe he'll go to jail for this, maybe he won't, but like, they fucking convicted him. 34 counts.
He can't go into other countries now because he's a felon. And he's a famous felon. Everybody at the gym Thursday night was smiling. Like, I swear they all were. We were all vibing. It was fun.
That night, I went out to get some yogurt, and there were a bunch of churchy types in the yogurt shop. But, like, everyone that I saw out in the parking lot, they were like, oh, everyone was real happy and chilled out. I was like, this is a good day.
I'm telling you, it was a good day. So my comment of the week is on the post about Jennifer Lopez canceling her This Is Me Now tour that you covered. And Kristen said she spent $20 million of her own money to make a movie about herself. I do not believe for a second that it was her idea to cancel the tour. That comment is accurate,
She did make the money back on the movies. But, like, the tour was going to be a fucking financial disaster and just a disaster, period.
I watched the Greatest Love Story Never Told. I did not watch the whatever movie.
I watched both.
I just watched Greatest Love Story Never Told. And she is delusional. Like, I'm sorry. If I was a singer, I hope I would be more like Megan Thee Stallion and singing about how my haters make me rich and I'm so hot and rich. And she's singing about Ben fucking Affleck. Like he's some prize. She centered her whole life and career around that fucking guy. He's just a loser who smokes and is like a commitment phobe. Yeah, I just can't stand that guy. And I don't know what is up with her. Like, how is she so stunted? I'll put it that way.
Well, And what's crazy is that, like,
I know you love them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do like them. But, like, did you ever watch her documentary Halftime?
No.
That was the one where she was, like, preparing to do the Super Bowl halftime show.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, she was getting snubbed for awards for Hustlers.
Oh.
And she was with Alex Rodriguez. And, like, she was so mature in that. She took those, like, award snubs on the chin. She just kept moving. She kept working. She kept so focused. And, like, she was working so hard. And she was, like, talking about politics and, like, what it meant to her to work against Donald Trump's administration. And then 3 years later, and she's absolutely regressed to this, like, lovesick,
What is wrong? Like, no dick is that good.
She thinks it is.
No, it is not.
I mean, he must be laying some serious pipe. That's all I gotta say.
We saw it in Gone Girl, right? It's not bad, but still. You're fucking hot and rich. You can have any dick you want, you know? Girl, snap out of it. She had a lot of yes people around her. That was very clear. There are only a couple people who very gently told her not to do that movie. And she did not listen to it. You know, she must not have anybody to... Well, she dumped Leah Remini when Leah told her not to get back with Ben Affleck. She's not listening to her friends.
Well, and I loved that, like, Jane Fonda was genuinely trying to tell her, like, calm down, take it down several notches. Like, when Jane Fonda is telling you that, like, listen to Jane. Like, I'm not, right? Jane Fonda is some, like, super wise woman. But, like, she really cared about J-Lo.
Had a lot of husbands and boyfriends. Yeah. She knows her shit, you know? She's like, no dick is worth that, girl.
No, she wasn't like that.
Okay, I'm paraphrasing.
She was just telling Jennifer Lopez to, like, not be so fucking public with it. And, like, she was like, this is going to ruin things if you are this public.
Yeah.
And J-Lo was like, no, it won't.
Watch. Bet. All right. Thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Oh, shit.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.
Jane Fonda was great in that.
She was.
You could tell she was almost embarrassed, though.
I don't know if I want to watch the movie. Do I want to watch the video movie thing?
No. It was horrible.
Okay.
No, it was awful.
Okay.
I like kept fast forwarding because I hated all of it.
And the music is real mid too.
Oh, the music is awful. That wasn't even the worst part though. Like the choreography wasn't even that great. I think a lot of Jennifer Lopez is a dancer.
Yeah, she can dance.
The dance stuff was horrible. And like the little story that she was telling within, it was awful. Time I'll never get back.
Okay, I'll take your advice.